And welcome to our first session for JSA Media Technology. And yes, this is my first video, training video for teachers, college students, as well as high school students. Right now, a server was provided to me, and it's a rack server used for businesses, of course, managing websites, data files, printing services. So we're gonna open this bad up so you guys can actually see what's inside of it. So we're gonna check it out. So before I open it up, now the thing is, the server is still in good condition. It's an HP, by the way, an HP DL 38.5, isn't it? Yep, 38.5 G7, the G7 lines. So pretty much it was from like 2016, 2017. So with these particular servers, they had AMD processors. So depending which model you had, you probably had one that was like about 1.2 gigahertz up to like 3 gigahertz. And you probably got one with one processor, but the motherboards in these is a true workstation. You had the ability to get two, all right? So you had the ability to get two processors with this bad boy. You'll notice this hard drive's gone out of here. And of course, you know, companies are not gonna give you hard drives to use. You have a port in the front for monitors, and of course, Blu-ray, a DRW recordable hard drive, and also a port for USB, and they're 2.0. So let's open this bad boy. So normally with these, Bubba, don't need any tools. Normally with these, it's pretty much twist and pull just to get in here. So because back then in the 80s, it was pretty tough to go in there with a screwdriver, get your hands all scratched up. Now you're being cut. So check this out. So right now I'm looking at this bad boy here. I'm looking at this where, wow, it's fully loaded. This one actually came with fans, and it's full. There's 6. And what's great about this fan is it'll take all the cool air from the front, all right? And it creates a vacuum chamber and pushes all the air towards the back. So yes, you have your processor in the middle where your board is, and you have your power supplies that generate heat, and it's also creating that vacuum, pushing all the hot air out. You have vents on the sides, okay? And of course you have vents, and it looks like the power supplies also have fans. So let's look at the power supplies first. Now the power supplies, they're hot swappable, all right? And you can get, I do believe it's like 450 watts with these, and you can get them up to 1200 watts, depending on the devices that you have in here. If you have a lot of NIC cards, a lot of other peripherals, devices to help it keep it cool, especially the memory cards, they take power. So this one is 750 watts. All right, so you look at 750 watts. And here's the thing, there's 2 of them. All right, there's 2 of these bad boys. There's 2 of them. So you got 2 power supplies at 750 watts. All right, and they're hot swappable. What I would do was, as a network administrator, actually not a network, I was a network engineer working for a company where if I had hot swappable hard drives, that's what I would do. I always made sure I had 1 extra per server on hand, okay? So if I had 3, I had 3 sitting around. So if one goes dead, poof, I put 1 in, and I didn't have to like sweat it and worry about getting another one, okay? Because I placed an order and eventually it'll come in. So you don't get a whole bunch of them. So anyway, I'm looking at these fans. Wow, they're awesome. Now with these, a lot of people would think, well, how do you know which way you would put them in? Because air is coming in, coming out. Well, they all have little connectors. And the connectors are pretty much is constantly communicating as well as sending power to the fans to keep it pushing. So if one of the fans would go faulty, and it would trigger an alarm, and you could pretty much have it send, if you connect to the internet, send you an email, send you a text message, send you a warning, say, hey, I got a faulty fan. So you'd open it up, pop it out, put 1 in. Okay, so you can't just turn it around the other way. Oops, all right. But that's just amazing. All right, so I got the fans out. Nice little protective cover. All right, this is a cover to protect any dirt from getting on top of your DIMM cards. Looks like, wow, this looks like this was loose, but hey. All right, and I'm looking at 12 sockets. I can tell by the numbers on the side. There's 12 sockets on these things. All right, they're all listed on the side here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12. So I'm looking at A, B, C, 4 channels. All right, 4 channels. So that thing is, you have to load this with what? Okay, how many DIMM cards? So you have 24. You got 24 DIMM sockets, and I got 4 channels. So I always tell folks, 24 divided by 4 is what? Do your math. Kids be like, what? Okay, all right. So you got 24. All right. So what I'm looking at, I would load this up. I'm looking at prior to manual. It looks like they're loading up not just in pairs, but in 4s. Okay, but there's 4 channels. That's what's kind of odd. So I got 4, I got 8, and another 4, and another 4. So I would have to look at the manual, but I'm looking at this. I'm making the assumption it's 4 channels. Now, these are DDR2s, not 3s, not 5s, but DDR2s. All right, and let's take one out. All right, and looking at this and where this is set up, you look at maximum RAM, 512 gigabytes of RAM to max it out. All right. But remember, you're not rendering 3D movies, this and that, stuff like that. But I'm looking at this one here is 4 gigabytes. All right. And of course, make sure they're the same size on each. Right. Oh, yep. 4 gigabytes. And this one, looking at the speed. Yeah. Wow. 4 gigabytes. 1,000 megahertz. Wow. So 1,000 megahertz. Now, if you have 1,000 megahertz here, all of them got to be 1,000. So let's say you got a sale and you got 1,300 because the max is 1,333. The 1,333 is going to drop down to 1,000. All right, because you can't overload. It's like one of those like things that you don't want to blow up the unit. So I'm just giving you guys a heads up on that. All right. So let me unscrew this. This looks like a riser card for the network interface cards, and there's 2. All right, by default, you get 1 NIC card. All right, usually with these servers, you can tell it's like tough. I want to pull this out. Yeah. And normally you come with 1 NIC card, not integrated on the board. Okay, oh, this one's integrated on the board. So we have 3 network ports on here, but they added 2 network interface cards. Now, it looks like the ones on the board, they're 10/100s. Okay, so 100 megabits. Here you have 2 ports. So here it says 10/100s on the actual card. Okay, 10/100s. And they all go up to a gigabit. So I'm looking at a network card. Both of them support gigabit connection. And there's 2 of them. Okay? Doesn't mean you go 2 gigabits. Don't. A lot of people confuse that. You have 1 gigabit connection, 1 gigabit connection. It's great for load balancing. So if you're like one of those folks, like you work in payroll, finance, you're doing a lot of data analysis, and you're crunching numbers off and you're using this as a SQL server, you're hitting this port hard, and then the other users will hit that port. Okay, but in this case, you have 4 ports, not just the ports on the motherboard, but you have 4 ports here. But looking at here in the motherboard, it looks like they're 10/100s. So someone here made an upgrade to kind of increase the throughput on their network. So you have 10/100/1 gigabit connection, which is not bad. It's not bad. So somebody made a network administrator, a network engineer, whoever the the IT manager is, they made a good choice, and they didn't want to get rid of this. They just upgraded. And that's what's great about these servers when you're looking at the opportunity to upgrade and do certain things. So, but that's what that is. So I'm gonna put that over here. I don't want to make it fall. I don't want to drop it. Excuse me, Bubba. All right. So now let's take a look at the processors. All right. Let's look at the process. Now you can tell these are protected by 2 heat sinks. All right. So the heat goes up, spreads out, but the fans push it out that way. So looks like we have 2 sockets. Ooh, let's go. Oh, there it is. Nice. All right. So the heat's coming through the vents. And you can see they're well placed, so you can't really mess up. There's one pin here and two pins on the side. Okay, so when you look at this, right? All right, so you have two pins, two holes, and one here. So in here, you have two pins on each side, so which is not bad. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. So, and look at the coils. Wow, I mean, just great engineering, right? So you have two of them. All right, and yep, there you go. We have two processors, two cores. All right, so two cores, there is six cores in these AMDs. So you have 12 cores. You go up to 12 cores, I believe, with this one. If I'm wrong, it's probably 24, but I'm pretty sure it's 12 cores with this unit. All right, and there's AMD processors, like, yeah, 3.2 gigabits on each. So again, a great efficient file server. You can do it for a very large corporation. Would be for a small business. This would be overkill. Now, how much would these cost? A generic file server, you're looking at with bare bones, probably $3,000, $3,000. Tops, probably 10, pushing it if it's fully loaded. Nowadays, you could probably buy this for $400. But this is still working condition. I mean, it's a great working condition here. So again, these are the insides of the unit. You have two cores, load balancing. With Windows, you can assign, can kind of configure one, if you're using this as a web server, and also like you want to do database and stuff like that, like orders, you could assign one core to handle URL requests. You know, this is your web server. And the other core handle SQL requests, queries. So it wouldn't overload the same processor. So you can assign functions to each processor. That's what's great about having an actual Windows server. So as a network engineer, when you're ordering a server or you configure a server for a company, you want to make sure that you're getting the right server for that business. You want to know what the business is trying to do, what they're trying to do in the next future, in the near future, 3 to 5 to 10 years. Okay, because these servers, a lot of people are leasing them, not just buying them. They're leasing them, and they'll do like a 3-year lease tops. And as you get closer to the 3-year lease, you're looking at migrating, where that's where you have to talk to your accountant. I'll use it as a business expense where I'm writing off each monthly expense versus owning it, and then you have to like depreciate. Which one's easier? So again, you can max these out at 1200 watts. Okay, that's per power supply. 3.2 gigahertz, I do believe, on each processor, and this is a dual CPU motherboard. You have 24 DIMM sockets. It's DDR2. You can max it out. Total 512 gigabytes of RAM. And I'm looking at the PCI connectors. According to this, you have 2, and it's second generation. Okay, it's second generation. So, hey, I don't see any spots for if you want to put any. Well, with this one, no SSD drives. But you do have some SATA connectors. You have SATA connectors with this. I see 2 here. So look at this unit. I wouldn't be surprised if the max amount of storage you could put in there, in other words, the hard drives, is 20 terabytes. Anything more, it's pretty much, it's tough for the hard drive, for the motherboard to transfer enough power to the SATA drives, okay, to actually keep it running. Because, you go bigger than that, what's going to happen? You're going to have corrupted data, system, something else is going to give. It may restart on you. You start running into some issues. So I never go out to and try to go to the maximum. Can you overclock this? Of course, but I wouldn't play around and overclock a file server, because it's not like, oh, I'm going to overclock it for 2 hours. For what? What are you doing? I'm printing a lot of documents. No, that's not what you overclock for. Usually if you do overclock, you're running a function like something like 3D rendering, data analysis, anything like, that you're going to be doing. But other than that, you would not overclock this for any reason, because the more frequent you overclock, it'll just degrade the components on your board. But other than that, this is the HP DL385 G7 Pro Liant. So again, great unit for its time. It still works. You probably find it in a couple businesses. The thing is heavy. It is heavy. But like I said, makes a lot of noise. With this amount of fans, it's making a lot of noise just to get the stuff done and get it out of here. So again, if you have any questions, put in your comments. I will try to respond to you as quickly as possible. But if you like this video, like, subscribe. The more subscribers I get, the more training sessions I'm going to do out for college students, high school students, as well as teachers, because not everybody has an opportunity to look at an actual working file server, data server, or whatever this was being used for, and we get to play around and take it apart. Again, thank you for stopping by and watching my video. This is Joe, and thank you for visiting JSN Media Technology.